The Inner Sanctum presents the Wednesday Whip Around.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Wednesday Whip Around, the special edition. This week I've got two very special guests. I welcome Antonis for his debut. Hello mate.
Hi, how are you?
Good mate, very good to have you on. And Lockie, how are you my friend?
I'm very well, good to be here.
Both on their debut with the expert myself. So I'm looking forward to this whip around indeed. And let's just get straight into it, lads. It's the A-League finals time, Antonis, and you're a very avid football fan. I can see the Arsenal in the background,
Yes.
but we see you pretty much every single Adelaide United game, so you must be thrilled with how the season has panned out.
I'll try my best, but yeah, it's good to be in finals, different finals format this year. Two finals this week. The Reds take on the Mariners at Hindmarsh, and then over in Melbourne, Western United take on the Wellington Phoenix. We've made the finals despite having a negative 15 goal difference, which is interesting.
Oh my lord. How do you make finals with a negative 15 goal difference?
It's funny. It just came out. Someone noticed on Twitter today. The league's been very even this year, and not many clubs have been very consistent. So only one side has won half their games or more from all sides. One side has won 13 or more. The rest are 12 and under. So
That's
very
insane.
even league. And they've been smashed a few times. They've done a couple of 4-0 losses, a 6-0 loss, and they've played all season. They're the Wellington Phoenix, but they've played out of Sydney. And making finals is a huge achievement, especially when none of the Sydney sides with the deep pockets have actually made it.
The deep pockets.
Yes.
I love
Sydney
that.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, there's a lot of deep pockets and mountains in that part of town. Lockie, have you been covering the A-League, mate, and seeing what's been happening?
Yeah, I have, and I also noticed Melbourne Victory, who went from I think it was last season, all the way up to second. So although I do barrack for Adelaide, I will make mention of Melbourne Victory. I've been very impressed with their season. I've actually managed to watch more of their games than ours, but yeah, they play an exciting brand under Tony Popovich for sure.
And I don't know if anyone was watching yesterday, but Melbourne City was playing Wellington to clinch the plate, and all the Victory supporters actually went to the game and did their own little. They actually outnumbered the City supporters, but they were there to see City lift the plate, so they were gone quite quickly after the game.
I did notice that because 2-1 result for Melbourne City was, I think, a pretty underwhelming considering
lots of
had a few
outs.
players out.
Yeah.
So wouldn't say they get the plate, but they're not going in heavy favourites, and I think it's anyone's game going to the finals.
And
How much of a chance are Adelaide United? We're all South Australians here. We all love Adelaide United. I think this is the South Australian whip around.
yes.
But how much of a chance are Adelaide United?
It's like I say, it's an even year. Anyone can do it on their day, but we'll see. Because they're saying us or United and the Mariners are the two form teams, and we're playing each other the first week. Both sides are undefeated in the last 5 games. So it's a very, very tight match. And I'll plug in one of my articles that's coming out this week. Both sides have actually used youth quite differently. Carl Veard for the Reds has used them quite late in the game to turn games around, with the club getting 19 of its 42 points after the 80th minute or something crazy like that. When the Mariners have actually used the youth from the start all the way through the game. So it's two different philosophies, and it'll be interesting to see who comes on top.
I might just turn it on with 20 minutes to go then.
Yes, that's why I've been joking that next year the Reds should do last 15-minute memberships. Value for money. Just walk in the 80th minute, 75th minute, get all the action.
$15 for 15 minutes.
That's a marketing scheme right there.
Who has number 15? Because they could advertise it.
Good question.
I love that. Dan, do you have anyone in particular that you think people should keep their eye on this final series?
In terms of players?
Players, teams. Who's going to stand out for you?
Well, I mentioned them before, but Melbourne Victory, I think it's actually, unfortunately, speaking from an Adelaide United fan point of view, I think it's going to go to one of the Melbourne teams. Obviously, City finished top. Victory finished second, and I believe Western United finished third. So it was a top 3 Victorian finish. So I think it'll go to one of those. And to be honest, it's good for the city of Melbourne. They had a couple of rough years with all the lockdowns and things like that. So it's good to see them back at the stadiums and making a lot of noise. Obviously, Victory won the FFA Cup in the middle of the season, and they can continue that, I think. But yeah, I struggle to see it leaving Victoria this year.
Antonis, how many games are you going to get to this final series? Have you already booked in this weekend?
Yeah, tickets are out tomorrow, but we'll be there Sunday. And then, depending if we win, we're back on Wednesday at High March. So we go from Sunday to Wednesday. And then if we're lucky and make the semi-final, Port and United might be playing on the same day, one in Geelong, one at Amy Park. And last time that happened to me, I had to be at home for 2 weeks because of isolation after Collingwood away last year. So lightning doesn't strike twice.
Port Adelaide won that day you went.
And Adelaide United won that day. 1 point winning AFL.
Sending you.
And 1-0. The tightest of margin. I need to go.
We're sending you. No, you have to go. I don't care if you spend a month in quarantine after that.
I don't mind. It was worth it. It was painful, but it was worth it. And mate, just beat the Mariners first. Beat the Mariners first, and then we'll see how we go.
One game at a time. But if you do get over the Mariners, we'll hit up Hutto and get you some tickets.
Can you tag him in this?
Oh, I'll do more than tag. I'll get his bank details.
Sponsored trip.
Oh, that's insane. Oh, well, A-League finals will kick off this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing how that all pans out. Another thing that is going on at the moment, boys, is, and I think, Dan, you're going to be right across this one, is Cambage. For those that don't know, could you run us through what's been happening?
Yeah, so it's a pretty extensive story dating back to just prior to Tokyo, obviously for the Olympics last year, about 5 or 6 weeks. They did all the prep, and then a few sort of discussions within the team took place, and Liz ended up pulling out, and then all of the plays that they'd trained for ended up sort of becoming or being thrown out the window because she wasn't going to be playing. So it's all sort of gone. It all went pear-shaped for the Opals in Tokyo, and they didn't have the campaign that they would have necessarily liked. And then after that, there was a bit of controversy within the media. Certain players had interviews that they probably would have taken back if they could. And yeah, she's signed for the LA Sparks over the off season. And yeah, she's making a fair few headlines over in America.
Yeah, that's not ideal, especially with a lot of people actually coming out and saying it's disgraceful. I've seen some of the articles, some coming out saying it's disgraceful and not what you've would have expected from someone that represents their country.
Yeah, Andrew Gaze, who's obviously one of the country's, or if not the best basketballer we've ever seen in Australia, had some pretty strong views around it. I think on Monday morning it was on radio, and yeah, he's just one of a number of journalists and high-profile media people that have gone into bat for, I guess you could say, the Opals or away from Liz Cambage's corner.
And Antonis, do you think with something like that Liz Cambage we won't be seeing represent the Opals again?
It's hard to see her come back from this because if you saw the comment that she made, she not only said, yep, I'm getting a lot of support here in LA, but the support that she claims she never got from the Opals. And as you said, Lockie, that Andrew Gaze was quite strong because he was not only a legendary player, he was also on the board of Australian basketball when this was all going down and had a few interactions with Liz himself. And the main topic was that the team was not happy with was a comment she made to a Nigerian player during a scuffle. She asked her to go back to her, quote, third world country. And when you're representing your country, you can't be making these comments because you represent more than yourself. You represent your country and you don't want everyone to be painted with the same brush. And especially in women's sports that are advancing more and more every year with young girls looking up to you to be the next Liz Cambage, that's not the example you want to be setting. And when you throw people under the bus, like Andrew Gaze said, how do you get back from this?
We've seen it in other sports as well. Anyone that eventually throws themselves into a position where whoever you're representing, you take the reputation down, sort of with yourself, but also when you're kind of labelled to that entity, and especially being the country's main basketball team, you don't want that reputation tarnished. We have seen it also recently with I won't mention names, but with the Collingwood Football Club as well, and all that situation has been happening, continues to happen. And social media is a powerful thing these days, and things get around pretty quickly. So Dan, I think anything that does come from this won't be a good outlook regardless.
No, that's right, and yeah, she's got a lot of not only will it be hard for her to come back into the Opal setup, but she's got a lot of relationships to repair post-playing days, which won't be easy to fix. They're not overnight fixes. They're going to take a fair bit of time, potentially even years, and even that might not be enough to repair some of the relationships that she might have lost within the Australian camp, and not only Australian camp, but Nigerian camp, due to the comment that she made that Antonis mentioned.
Yeah, it's not a great look, Antonis, but I'm sure even though this is coming about and continues to be a story, there is still plenty of positives for the Opals, and as you mentioned, the younger generation still have plenty to look up to.
Mm-hmm. That's it. You just hope that kind of sets the cultural expectations that this is what's expected. You can't cross that line. We're a team. We support each other. And that's the other thing. It feels what Andrew Gaze was saying, because he insinuated there were other things as well that he didn't want to go into, but he felt that a lot of the players actually did go out of the way to support her. And one of the players made a comment on TV about Liz and confirming that comment against Nigeria. And he said for a player like that, a professional, to go out and basically throw her teammate under the bus, it would have taken a lot of hurt feelings for that to happen. So it shows you how disappointed not just individuals are, but the organization as a whole with Liz's conduct, I guess. So as Lockie said, there's a lot to repair there. You just hope that one day Liz or the others come together, come to an understanding that, yes, we could have done better, I could have done better, and actually repairing that relationship. Because when you have a player like that, it's just a shame that she can't represent her country because of incidents like that. It shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think maturity should prevail, hopefully, from all parties, I think, because it's something you don't want to see. You don't want to have, as I mentioned before, hanging over as a cloud as such, because it can become a storm. It can become a bit of a kamikaze effect, and a lot more things can come from it, and just more comments will drag it out. So hopefully that maturity prevails and we're able to get a situation sorted. Boys, but there is one other topic I'd like to touch on in this whip around, and I speak of maturity, I speak of getting a resolution. I think the resolution for multiple teams in the NRL and the AFL at the moment are, how the hell do we stop the D's and the Storm? Dan, I'm going to start with you. This is almost becoming a hierarchy with these two teams, just demolishing whoever they come across each week. Firstly, can they be stopped? And secondly, have you seen anything like it?
Well, I know I mentioned that I am from Adelaide, but I actually am a proud Melbourne Storm member. So
of course you are.
I hope that the run doesn't stop, because it's an absolute privilege and a pleasure to watch at the moment. They are just scoring points for fun. And we got one of the most dominant teams I've ever seen. We lost a couple of players last year, and most notably Josh Adokar, and they've gone and replaced him with Xavier Coates. And they just all fit into the same crop of leave your egos at the door, I believe it was described by a player. And they just all play for each other, and you can see it on the field, and they're getting rewards for it. In terms of the D's, I watched their game against St Kilda on Sunday afternoon. The two sides are actually very close on the ladder, so I thought it was going to be quite a close game. Especially, I thought Hawthorn would have had a good effort against Melbourne the other week, which I thought might have meant Melbourne could be showing signs of weakness or slowing down. But they just put St Kilda to the sword in the second quarter. They just run out of the middle for fun, and then kick it to a forward, and it's sort of who wants to kick a goal, and they do it. So, they've had an incredible emergence over the last couple of years, for sure.
And Tonus, do you think? I know we speak of Port Adelaide winning on Friday night, and that was fantastic. We saw each other, which was even better. Yep. But the D's, in terms of, and this is just my opinion, you could resonate with it as well, but they're almost just still in second or third gear.
I was genuinely going to state the same thing.
They have not changed gear since the start of the year. They're just, it's like watching them build Lego, one piece at a time. They keep going up. How do you stop them?
We were there when we played them. When was it? A few weeks ago, and they were just they just existed, and then they just turned it on for 10 minutes, and suddenly we're 5 goals up, and it just felt irreversible. You just don't see anyone getting close. And I was just thinking that before. It's been a while since we've had a legacy team in the AFL since Hawthorn. Ever since, it's just been a team that has a strong year. This Melbourne team genuinely has the ability to win a couple of premierships. When you say anyone gets close, Fremantle's having a good year, but again, it feels like they're a year off. They need to have the big finals run first. They play each other at the MCG in a couple of weeks, and I can't wait to watch that. Yeah. And then you've got Brisbane as well, who look $1 million, but the past few years, finals have been their own undoing. So they might look flashy, but I'm just not fully buying them until they can show that against a legit opponent in September.
Yeah, and I think as well, Dan, like Antonis mentioned, since Hawthorn, who had that golden era between the grand final 2012 and then the three-peat to 2015. Like we've seen Richmond win 3 out of the last 4, but they haven't had strong seasons. They battled their way through to 2017 and came good in a great finals run. 2018 knocked out in the prelim. 2019 they weren't in the top 4 till the last 4 rounds of the year. 2020 again was the same. It was COVID. They were struggling, and they finally got to a finals run where they even lost the first final. So, and for the D's to be here, they pumped everyone in the final series last year. The closest loss they've had was Hawthorn. Do you agree? Is Fremantle, Brisbane, or is there someone else that is capable of showcasing their full cards?
I had Sydney up there the other week, but then they went and got beaten by the Suns on Saturday afternoon at home. And I also don't think you can count out Geelong. I know they keep sort of unbuckling in the prelims and all that sort of thing, but the quality of their list could just all click on a prelim day or a grand final day, and then you never know what can happen. But in terms of Melbourne, they, as you said, they haven't got out of second or third gear, and it's sort of showing on the scoreboard. They haven't actually blown any teams out of the water in terms of a margin. But if you look at the stats, they just dominate disposals, dominate marks. But yeah, I'd have to say Brisbane or Geelong would be their only competitors at the moment. But I still think Melbourne are a step ahead.
Yeah, I think, well, unless Port Adelaide just come out and
just quietly
pull the finger out. We're coming, just saying.
Oh, it's not going to be the Crows.
It's not going to. Yeah, sit down, Dan, mate. Relax.
Parity has been restored this week. Just quiet.
Yes, I've heard about it this week. Don't you worry.
What's it like being down in 14th? I haven't seen it for a couple of weeks.
Oh, just been a whole big week.
We're back.
I figured it out as well, just quickly before we head off. If Port Adelaide obviously beat North Melbourne this week, which they should, I'll say should because I know Port Adelaide. If we win by, say, at least 10 goals or something like that, even 80 points, and Richmond and Collingwood lose this weekend, which Richmond are playing Hawthorn and Collingwood are playing the Bulldogs, which are two not too distant, I think, in terms of could getting the losses. Port Adelaide will be sitting 8 at the end of the round.
I love how you're already on the finals calculator halfway to the season.
I have done the ladder predictor that many times already this week.
All I've got to say is the important thing from this weekend is get the 4 points. But if someone, a Tom Jonas, a Travis Boak goes and taps Jason Horn-Francis in the shoulder and say, you know what, like we've got something good building back in your hometown. We've heard you put it on hold. Just quietly.
Oh yeah, Jason Horn-Francis has obviously put his contract talks on hold. So I think just quietly, I think I might go have a meeting with him.
It's a good week to show him how well we can play as a united team.
Yeah,
do you want a TV? He can watch our game too if he wants.
And he's playing in the freezing Tasmanian weather as well. Come to Adelaide Oval. It's a lot more comfortable. Come on.
Paradise. Who have the Crows got this week?
Brisbane at home. So yeah, a nice easy fixture.
He won't be watching the TV then.
I hope he is.
Actually, you know what I do? Because either way, he'll be watching a team getting pumped by 10 goals. The Crows on Saturday night and his own North Melbourne on Saturday.
Oh, it's going to be a long weekend.
I hope I haven't jinxed it either. But
sports is back. The AFL's back.
Welcome back to footy. Boys, it's been a pleasure on this week's Whip Around. Any final thoughts, Lockie?
No, thank you for having me. Been great discussing.
You've been a pleasure. And Antonis, your face is everywhere, mate. Adelaide United, Port Adelaide. I think Instagram, you're becoming a blow up. So is there any final thoughts from you?
Just win.
Just win.
Whoever the message wants to apply for, just go for it. Just take it and run with it. Win.
Well, if you're watching, hopefully your team wins. If you're watching as well, subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Whip Around and other content. Hairs on a pod as well. And get around everything on the Sanctum. These two fellas, that they do a fantastic job, and everyone else as well. So subscribe to all of that, and we'll see you next time for the Whip Around.